Headlines today. Abiy Ahmed's power base said to be more fragile than ever. Human Rights Watch says the world cannot afford to ignore Tigray any longer. Abiy sends team to Brussels in bid to emerge from EU's bad book. Moving on to our main stories today. Abiy Ahmed's power base said to be more fragile than ever. Ethiopia Insight reports that ruptures have emerged within the Ethiopian Prime Minister's wartime power base, which includes elites from the Amhara region and air-trained dictator Isaias Afwerki. Having come to power in 2018 on the back of the Oromara alliance, Abiy Ahmed's main constituency initially resided primarily within the Oromo and the Amhara communities. The Prime Minister's popularity in the Oromia was always divided and has declined amid a mass arrest campaign, a counterinsurgency, and intercommunal violence. Meanwhile, his administration ties with Tigray have been completely severed by the civil war. The shifting alliance since 2018 are replicating a constant pattern in Ethiopian politics, one that is explained by the way that the Ethiopian state was formed, by forcing together various nations and the incomplete status of its nation-building project. According to Ethiopia Insight, Ethiopia's history has been marked by an unending cycle of state repression and armed conflict. With this complex and dysfunctional political system, satisfying the demands of one constituency always risks alienating others. The two main alliances that the federal government has been either cooperating or contending with are those between leaders in Eritrea and the Amhara, on the other hand, and between armed movements in Tigray and Oromia. Abiy may be forced to make concessions on what has become the core issue of the conflict, the disputed territories between the Amhara and Tigray, to reach a peace deal with Tigray's leaders, but Ethiopia Insight says doing so would anger Isaias and inflame tensions within the Amhara community. Ethiopia Insight added that Abiy Ahmed's regime, beyond his support within Ethiopia, is propped up by the foreign powers. The so-called tripartite alliance between Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia, along with drones supplied by a variety of governments, have buttressed Abiy's power base. Abiy's efforts to balance the often competing and incompatible interests of constituents in Tigray, Oromia, Amhara, Somali, Afar, Benshangul Gumuz, and other regions are complicated by the looming presence of Isaias among other foreign actors. Human Rights Watch says the world cannot afford to ignore Tigray any longer. Human Rights Watch Executive Director Kenneth Ross released a statement calling for an end to suffering of detained and displaced Tigrayans. Human Rights Watch Ethiopia federal and regional authorities should immediately allow international aid agencies to access detention facilities within western Tigray and other parts of Ethiopia, and allow international humanitarian agencies to operate unhindered throughout Tigray. He also urged for reining in of abusive security forces, as well as suspending and holding accountable those implicated in these crimes. Kenneth Ross acknowledged that none of this will happen without international action. The Human Rights Watch head stated both the African Union's Peace and Security Council and the UN Security Council have failed to act to address the crisis in Ethiopia, once again calling into question their ability to protect vulnerable populations and prevent mass atrocities. He asked the United States, the European Union, and regional powers to call for a credible, independent investigation into the abuses in western Tigray. The International Commission of Human Rights Experts in Ethiopia, mandated by the UN Human Rights Council and the Commission of Inquiry, established by the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, should make it a priority to document human rights abuses in western Tigray and press for credible justice and redress for serious crimes. Kenneth Ross said, as the veil lifts on the atrocities in western Tigray, the Ethiopian government and international bodies need to stop the abuses and put an end with impunity. He stressed that at stake is the survival of thousands of detained Tigrayans and hundreds of thousands more who either live in fear or have fled their homes and live under near siege conditions. Extreme drought sees hungry monkeys attack children. Severe drought and hunger in Ethiopia have caused unusual animal behavior, including monkeys attacking children and livestock out of hunger, according to a Save the Children report. Malnutrition rates across east and southeastern Ethiopia have soared in recent months as drought, displacement, and conflict have a significant impact. The charity now estimates that 185,000 children are suffering from the most deadly form of malnutrition. A prolonged drought, alongside the disruption of health services due to instability, the pandemic, and as well as lack of funding, has left over 1 million people in need of urgent nutrition support across the region. Extreme malnutrition is only expected to get worse in the coming months as food prices continue to rise due to the ongoing war, the devaluation of Ethiopian birr, and the war currently in Ukraine. Farming communities are among the worst hit as one of the Horn of Africa's worst drought kills their herds in the Dawa zone of the Somali region. The pastoral nomadic community is at the brink of starvation. Abiy sends team to Brussels in bid to emerge from EU's bad books. Few days before the European Foreign Affairs Council meets to discuss the Horn of Africa, Ethiopian justice ministers due in Brussels to plead his country's cause. Abiy seems to be sending signals that he's distancing himself from Isaias by announcing establishment of committee for negotiations and by okaying a trickling of humanitarian aid. According to some analysts, European Union seems to accommodate it. The analyst says Abiy is pressurized by his interest to fill up the dwindling forex reserve, but the question is it genuine? Grenade attack kills 5 in northern Ethiopia. A grenade attack inside a police station in Ethiopia's northern Amhara region has left at least 5 people dead, a local official said on Tuesday. Mengistu Ali, chief police inspector of 4th Police Station in Dessie, city administration Amhara region, said the deadly attack, which happened Monday afternoon, was carried out by fugitives of the law. Ali said 2 security personnel are among the 5 fatalities of the grenade attack, state-affiliated media outlet Fana Broadcasting Corporate reported. Chief of Dessie City Administration Police Department, Asamin Mulat, said 1 suspect is among the grenade attack fatalities. He further said another suspect who was injured during the attack was subsequently arrested by security forces.